A very good day to Sir Mardi and everyone. We are from Group Presentation, presenting the topic The Impact of COVID-19 Between E-Commerce and Traditional Commerce in Malaysia. And my name is Ha Kaylee, metric number 263221. So now let's begin with our introduction. The coronavirus disease was described as extreme illness caused by severe acute respiratory syndrome. WHO declared the COVID-19 pandemic outbreak as a global health emergency. To flatten the number of increased new cases, the government started to impose Movement Control Order, which is MCO, which then gave a significant impact on our country's economic growth. Because the prohibition on public gatherings, social distance, staying at home, and the closure of non-essential businesses, resulting in a loss of income for small-scale enterprises. Now, traditional shopping is currently being challenged by the new methods to purchasing that leverage technology and increase consumers' needs for lifestyle experience when buying. Many organizations needed to encounter a significant transformation in their managing due to the COVID-19 pandemic, as people are adjusting to the new life on online shopping and working from home, which has impacted the demand and business volume in the short term, making the traditional business one of the most visible casualties of COVID-19 pandemic. One thing to keep in mind is that e-commerce is seen as a necessary service in our country. According to the Malaysia Digital Economic Corporation, e-commerce is expected to expand by 20% in 2020. During the period of MCO, online dry products purchasing increased by 53%. Food delivery increased by 61%, and while for online grocery shopping increased by 144%. So now let's go with our literature review. First, we start with coronavirus disease affecting businesses. According to the International Labour Organization, in the second quarter of 2020, COVID-19 is expected to reduce the global working hours by 6.7%. It would mean that up to 195 million full-time workers may lose their jobs. According to the Department of Statistics Malaysia, out of 4,094 companies, businesses and firms that were surveyed, 42.5% needed a time of more than 6 months to recover from the loss of businesses caused by COVID-19. This is mainly due to the enforcement of the MCO, which caused a lot of businesses, companies and firms to be closed. E-commerce was enhanced by COVID-19, giving Malaysians a trusted platforms and website to conduct business. According to Global Data's e-commerce analytics, during the year 2020, the e-commerce market is predicted to increase by 24.7% in Malaysia. Consumers' wants are influenced by the rapid technology and the rapidly changing trends in any industry. According to the data portal, Malaysia recorded to be as with the top 5 fastest growing e-commerce markets in the world by the year 2020. Malaysia recorded as the soaring level at 85.7% internet penetration rates in Southeast Asia, achieving in one among the region's quickest increasing e-commerce market. And with our traditional business, COVID-19 has caused many of these businesses to be temporarily closed. According to Batik, many of them closed down because of the reduction of demand, employees' health concern, and a disruption in the supply chain. COVID-19 poses a threat to the nation's economy, with SMEs being such a big part of the registered businesses in Malaysia, representing 98.5% of the total registered business in Malaysia. So now I'll pass to my group mates to continue with the presentation.
My name is Tan Ke, matrix number 263177, so I will continue with type of business. The first type is traditional businesses, which consider as an organization where operate with a physical store and offer their services or product to customer face-to-face. Traditional business spend a lot of money on operating expenses and salary. The first type is food and beverage businesses. For beverage side, as we all know, bubble tea becomes so famous in Malaysia. Bubble tea, also called as boba tea, which origin from Taiwan. This business become a trend by motivating their customers share their beverage motto on social media, resulting become viral and gain interest from public. According to a research, Malaysians consume 3 cups per person each month in average. Bubble tea sector in Malaysia has been estimating become able to expand 6.9% in 7 years. The second type is retail sector, which is comprised of all business selling goods and services to customers. This is an extremely competitive as well as workplace culture a fast-paced industry that is vital to an economic of a nation. The last type is tourism sector businesses, which is described as a group of industry that promote traveling but for various objectives by developing resources, goods and services. For example, accommodation such as hotel, transportation such as car rental, airline and others. There is an impact for traditional businesses due to COVID-19 pandemic by reducing economic activity, which is temporary market closure, also social distancing, quarantine, and MCO. For food and beverage firms are suffering dramatically lower demand while also supply chain disruption. Even though at home, which is online spending, has risen, but out of home, which is offline spending, has particularly come to a halt. Long-term shift in consumer behavior and demand are expected. For example, in SS15 Subang Jaya, which informally called as bubble tea street, it is roughly half of the outlets shut down due to MCO 1.0, therefore lead to a downsizing of local bubble tea market. Nearly 2,000 cafes and mama in our country were permanently closed, which is equal to roughly 10% of all restaurants in Malaysia. Even though food and beverage outlets, including cafe restaurants, are authorized to operate during the pandemic, but they are record a drop on growth rate by negative 12.8% in 2020. For Malaysian retail sector performed poorly in 2020. The third wave of a COVID-19 pandemic as well as restriction on interstate and inter-district traveling, work from home, delay of school opening result in a major drop in retail visitation in malls, shopping centers, and food and beverage stores throughout the nation. In comparison to the same time frame of the year before, the retail sales growth rate of 2020 was negative 16.3%. The department sector record growth rate of negative 38.3% for 2020, which is the weakest performance. In comparison, mini market, convenience store, and cooperative subsector were by far the least impacted, which is their business rose by 14.8% for 2020. The Retail Group Malaysia published the latest report, which shows that MCO as well as CMCO have affected nearly every type of retail business in January and February of 2021. For tourism sector, Malaysian international tourist arrival dropped by 83.4% in 2020. In terms of hotel, those businesses lost in revenue over 75 million ringgit from January to March 2020. Up to nearly of year 2021, about 100 hotels in the 3, 4, 5-star category have closed for businesses, and over 7,000 employees lose their job directly and indirectly. Hotel industry will lose 300 million ringgit in revenue averagely every 2 weeks during MCO. More hotels of all classes will be forced to closure to minimize their loss. In terms of aviation, year 2020 was totally the worst year ever for this industry, since government has imposed travel restrictions for both domestically and internationally. Malaysian aviation sector seems projected to generate loss in amount of 13 million ringgit in 2020. 628,000 passengers received reimbursement totaling 399 million ringgit. Unsurprisingly, AirAsia has undergone a financial loss in a total of nearly 1,000 million ringgit during Q2 of 2020, which break their company record. To reduce operation costs, AirAsia laid off hundreds of employees, while Malaysian Airlines offer unpaid leave for their 13,000 employees.
Hi, my name is Marlisa. My major number is 261479, and I'll be talking about the e-commerce. So what is e-commerce? So e-commerce is a type of business that includes buying and selling goods or services through the internet. So we can say that internet plays a bigger role here, as it has opened up the whole new world for many people around the world. So these goods and services can be sold and bought through various mediums such as social media like Facebook, Twitter, and so on, websites, or even advertised in the blog of specific individuals or groups. So e-commerce was chosen as the easiest step that can save time to buy or sell necessities easily without having to pay long, as electronic payments via online banking or credit and debit cards have made online transactions even more convenient for everyone. So an example of e-commerce is dropshipping. Dropshipping can be defined as a contract between a company and a manufacturer or distributor of a product it wants to sell, or in a simplest word we call as a dropship agent, in which the manufacturer or distributor rather than the company ships the goods to the company's customer. So it will allow you to make a substantial profit by selling high quality, brand name products on your website, while someone else handles product creation and order fulfillment. So during this pandemic, purchasing product through an internet dropship agent has become a popular trend. So next, I'll be talking about the positive impacts on the e-commerce. So the coronavirus pandemic significantly had affected our daily lives, not only to our health but also to the global economy. This deadly virus has taken many lives regardless of their gender or age. With increasing cases of those who had been infected, the government of Malaysia have taken various of action to combat this infection from spreading further, including implementing the Movement of Control Order (MCO). So during the MCO, all businesses and stores that were considered non-essential were ordered to stop its operation to stop the virus from spreading through interaction with humans, as well as to implement the social distancing rule. Therefore, more people tend to stay at home and only go out from the house if they have important matters to do. So this has forced all retail companies to look for another way to market their goods and services in order to stay in business. Consequently, the e-commerce industry has experienced an increase in demand. This is because more Malaysians are now spending more time online and are more likely to buy products via the internet. Changes in behavior such as the need to work from home or attempting new hobbies while staying at home has explained the e-commerce industry as deemed as an essential services in Malaysia. So according to the iPrice Malaysia, by the second quarter of 2020, there were an average of 50 million visits per month. So this reflects a 25% rise over the first quarter of 2020 of well-known online platforms, Shopee and Lazada. Shopee, GrabFood, and Lazada were discovered to be the most popular online transaction platforms during the MCO. So we can say that e-commerce has made it unnecessary to visit a shop because of its ease of use as well as making the payments. Not only that, the emergence of a slew of online platforms and marketplaces that have exploded in popularity over the last few years, lowering the barrier for entry for businesses, especially for micro and small businesses enterprises. Therefore, in another word, the pandemic that is happening right now has positively impact the e-commerce industry in many ways. However, even though the pandemic has paved the way for a slew of new company ventures to further their operation, it also gives a negative impact to the e-commerce industry itself, as it has caused a disruption in the worldwide supply chain, which has a severe influence on the e-commerce industry. According to Statista, China accounted for 28% of global manufacturing production and 32% of Malaysia's overall imports. So when the coronavirus became uncontrollable in China, several factories were obliged to close the doors and cease operation. Despite rising demands for products, the ability to produce and satisfy those orders had become redundant. So due to major factory shutdown, China, a key electronic product exporter to Malaysia, causing the electronic e-commerce market suffered as a result of the company's inability to fulfill orders. So this had a cascading impact on the global economy, especially in the rapidly increasing digital economy, which resulting to a shortage of inventory and eventually a drop in revenue. Not only that, the pandemic has also caused a great deal of logistical chaos. The availability of international flights has decreased as Malaysia tightened its border to prevent an influx of COVID-19 patients. Due to travel restrictions, Malaysia Airlines has cancelled almost 4,000 flights in order to prevent the virus from spreading. So when this happened, space accessible for parcel and container shipments become limited, which eventually caused the rise of cost of international shipping rate and the shipping time. So many customers will cancel their orders because of the delaying time of delivery. Not only that, during the MCO, cross-state border restrictions were imposed. Thus, the number of drivers who could fly to another state are limited, which eventually causes delays and disruption in product shipment.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Farah Izanti Mituraza, Mathematics number 264192. Today I will explain about the solution part. Government should play an important role to help out all the e-coms and traditional coms by ensuring market sustainability using funding and financing opportunities to make sure that all e-coms and traditional coms can go through the slowing pace. Malaysian government announced a financing package worth 10 billion ringgit to support small and medium-sized businesses. Small and medium-sized businesses include all the e-coms and traditional coms. This new measure was planned to supplement the government's pure stimulus measures aimed at assisting companies in managing their cash flow and retaining workers. Other than that, by update on National E-Commerce Development Strategy to some extent can help e-commerce machines. In Malaysia, the National Digital Economy and Fourth Industrial Revolution (4IR) Council has accepted the National E-Commerce Strategy Roadmap 2.0 as the driving force behind the development of Malaysia's e-com ecosystems. Next, government has introduced to help all businesses who was reach subsidy programs. which subsidy programs are designed to encourage employers to keep workers despite a temporary closure or lack of physical activities in the businesses. The main goal is to keep employees on the payroll so that operation can resume as soon as MCO restrictions are lifted. Since pandemic COVID-19, many traditional firms had to close their businesses for a long period of time. Initiatives that government have done to help traditional firms by boosting online businesses. The aim of this program is to encourage more traditional firms to embrace e-commerce and e-payment wheels, also extending their consumer presence. Meanwhile, to support tourism industry, which is the most affected during the pandemic, Government of Malaysia has decided to support tourism industry by allocated RM 500 million in the form of travel discount vouchers and tourism promotion. On side of banking institution, banks opt to work in future with a variety of mobile apps such as online shopping application, food distribution apps, and online gaming apps. Banks have recognized that they have a great chance to offer their service via mobile apps and also can increase their advertising on the service that they provided. For example, Maybank working with Go Eat apps where clients receive free delivery by using Maybank QRP or Maybank 2U apps to pay for food in that apps. Last but not least, Vietnam has increased the fund utilization, especially for SME involved in food production to RM 1 billion, which can be used for both working capital and capital expenditure. The fund will be available for a maximum of 8 years with a financing rate of 3.75% and a maximum of RM 5 million per SME. That's all. I will go to the next slide. Next, I will explain the recommendation. From the others information on this study, mostly businesses have made more changes and more effort to sustain during this recession. As a result, there are few recommendations from us that e-coms and traditional coms can implement on their firms to have better plan in future. E-coms company may analyze the external environment and the effect of pandemic to their company's operation. By first analyzing and monitoring the external impact, e-commerce company can act more preparedly by ensuring that they always have more product in stock. Next, government should offer a professional advisor platform dedicated to all businesses, either online or offline, to seeking financial advice and support to keep their businesses sustained with a minimum loss. Provide advice on business management, coaching, and access to internet resources. Let us not forget that the current scenario is incredibly stressful and may have a substantial impact on the mental health of company owners. Mostly businesses management need assistance to help them make these decisions. Other than that, as companies need to improve on digital advertising too. Since the pandemic, our movement is very limited. All people are not allowed to open their business as usual, especially that are involved the public. On this pandemic, consumers are more likely to purchase goods and services only if they need, and the rest will choose more to saving or investment for future needed. Therefore, it is important to have new methods or platform to advertising our products and find a new target group in this pandemic era. That's all from me. Thank you. I will pass to the next presenter.
As for our conclusion, the COVID-19 had a significant impact on our country's economic growth and had also changed the purchasing habits of a consumer no matter the level of age. Many sectors in traditional business were being affected in many ways. The pandemic has brought them to the brink, and the path to reinvention will be highly suggested. Consumers' online shopping adaptation, which has been accelerated by the pandemic, are unlikely to stop or slow down as technology advances. So the use of e-commerce has created a huge opportunity for existing and new businesses to deliver their products and services more efficiently, which will also help to improve our country's economic situation. So that's all from us. Thank you very much for listening.